What's going on, guys? Jay here, and we are here with another one of our tier ranker videos. Today we are looking at all of the Konami games on the NES. Let's dive right in and take a look. Now, as you guys know, one of the things that we're doing now is we are doing a pre-ranking, just basing everything on the nostalgia, the memories we have as a kid of what we think these games are going to be on the tier ranking as we go through them and actually play them as an adult. So straight up, guys, here is our pre-ranking. We've got the S tier of Blades of Steel, Castlevania, Simon's Quest, Dracula's Curse, Super C, and Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. A tier gives us Batman Returns, Bucky O'Hare, Contra, Lone Ranger, Turtles of Manhattan Project, and Zen Intergalactic Ninja. B, Gradius, Jackal, Monster in My Pocket, and Track and Field. C gets us Contra Force's Goonies 2, Laser Invasion, Life Force, Tiny Toon Adventures 2, and Track and Field 2. The D tier gives us The Adventures of Bayou Billy, Double Dribble, King's Quest V, Russian Attack, Stinger, Tiny Toons Cartoon Workshop, and Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. And the F tier gets us NASCAR with Bill Elliott, Jack Nicholson's Championship Golf, Top Gun, and Top Gun: The Second Mission. Now, with those out of the way, let's dive on in to our tier rankings today. All right, based on a few comments from people, we're going to try things a little bit differently for this tier ranker. We are not going to show my mug at all as I'm going through the gameplay, so you can actually see these games up close and in person, and you can make your determination and look at them and see what I'm talking about. Rather than just having something small up in the corner and having my gigantic head in the other right side of the screen, we're just going to show the gameplay, and we'll go from there. So we're going to start here first with The Adventures of Bayou Billy, and what you're seeing in this footage is literally the furthest I've ever made it in The Adventures of Bayou Billy. I played this game a few times growing up, and I never really got into it. The combat kind of sucks in the beat-em-up levels. I really can't say a thing about the driving or zapper levels because, again, this is the farthest I've ever gotten in The Adventures of Bayou Billy. The music is great, though, and it doesn't look bad. So I can't give it an F, but I will give it a D. Batman Returns is a really good game, but it just doesn't quite live up to the Sunsoft original from the first movie. I mean, it's pretty. The sprite work in the game is big and bold, and it feels like a Tim Burton film come to life. It just doesn't have the charm of the original. It does look good, and it is fun to play, but I'm going to be honest with you. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to take that original game over this one. I'm going to give it a B. When I worked in the game industry, I worked on the NASCAR series of games for EA from 2003 to 2008. I learned so much about that sport and about the drivers, and one of my coworkers was a huge fan of one Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Which is a shame because his game sucks. I mean, it looks good for an NES game. It's as realistic a representation of NASCAR as you're going to get in an 8-bit game, but good lord is it not fun to play. Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge should get an F, but honestly, what it does very well, but it's just not fun. I can't put it any higher than a D. I love Blades of Steel so much. This is a game that led to my discovery of my favorite sport in ice hockey, and it's a game I fondly remember and played frequently growing up. I love the gameplay, the over-the-top fights, the voiceover. It's a pass! But playing it now, oh man, yeah, this game is a bit of a departure from my nostalgia. It's still a B. I mean, it looks good, and it's definitely a close representation of the sport. It's just not as great as I remember. All right, now this game is so good. I love Bucky O'Hare. It was a comic book, an animated series, a wildly underrated toy line, and one of the absolute best action platformers on the NES. This game looks great, it plays well, and it's just flat out fun. You go through various levels, rescue your crewmates, and eventually go after the Toad Armada mothership. It's a really stupid concept. Bucky O'Hare on the surface is dumb, but the game is so good and I love it. This is our first S tier. Alright, so straight up, I'm the rare person that didn't discover the Castlevania franchise via the first game. I actually played Simon's Quest first, so I don't have the nostalgia pangs for this one. And objectively, I can look at it and say, it's really damn good. I mean, it's not perfect, there's some bizarre difficulty spikes and weird jumping that you have to deal with, hitboxes can be a little funky, but boy howdy does this game look good and sound amazing. It's definitely an A rank. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest is the one that started it all for me with the Castlevania franchise. I love this game, flaws and all. It's a mess of a translation in many areas, and the gameplay is as unforgiving as the first game. Weird jumps, hitboxes, and all of that everywhere. Game's a bit uneven, and the Castlevania difficulty is definitely in place. As much as I love it, though, I can't rank it higher than an A. Now, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse is perfect. It fixes a lot of the weird unevenness from the first two games, and it plays like a dream. It looks great, it sounds great, and with multiple characters, branching paths, and the signature beautiful look and awesome music, the game is just wonderful. This is an S. As a kid, I loved Contra. The Konami code was in play here, and I played this game constantly, and I even beat it, using the Konami code, of course. As an adult, yeah, it's not that fun. It's hard for the sake of being hard. The enemies are either mental level geniuses or dumber than a box of rocks, and playing the game just doesn't bring the joy out that it used to. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a landmark game, but it's not as good as I remember. I'm just going to give it a B. Now, alright, I had never played Contra Force before, and I can tell you, this is a hot mess. It's not a Contra game, it's not fun, it's slow, it's ugly, and it breaks down in a ton of places. This gets an F. The NES was just not a place for sports simulations. Double Dribble's a 5-on-5 basketball game, and it's just a mess. The shooting mechanic is not good. It's a mystery whether or not you'll actually make the shot, and the gameplay as a result is an incredibly uneven experience. You kind of steal automatically if you walk next to someone that has the ball and press the button. It's just not good. I don't want to give it an F because, I mean, it is a 5-on-5 experience with 2 buttons, so I'll give it a D, but it's a D-. I remember playing Goonies 2 as a kid, and it never really clicked for me. I wanted a swashbuckling treasure hunt of a game, and instead I got a weird platformer Shadowgate hybrid game. Looking at it now, though, you know, honestly, it's not terrible. Platforming elements are pretty solid, and going into the different rooms to find things is actually kind of fun. I like this a lot more than I expected I would. I give it a B. I loved Gradius as a kid. My friend Josh had it, and we played it frequently. This is my intro into horizontal shmups, and I absolutely adored it. It was good. Now, it's kind of slow and boring, though. The gameplay is unforgiving, and I just don't have the fun with it that I used to. I give Gradius a C. Jack Nicklaus's greatest 18 holes of major championship golf, I believe, has the longest title on the NES. I don't have a confirmation of that, but that's what I'm going with. And it sucks as much as the name does. This game is awful. It's slow, it plays poorly, the levels draw in rather than being accessible right away. F. This is the F-iest F that ever F'd. It's bad. Jackal, though. Jackal is good. I had so much fun playing this. I had an idea of what I was getting into looking at the box art for the pre-rankings, but I couldn't remember this game for some reason. And it plays so well. Machine guns always shoot forward. You can direct a grenade or missiles in any direction the Jeep is facing. You rescue POWs, blow up buildings, and then you have boss fights at the end of the level. It's brilliant. This is an absolute S tier. King's Quest V shouldn't work. It's one of my favorite games from the DOS days of my gaming history, but I never took the time out to play the NES version, and that was a mistake. This game captures the brilliance of the PC version while still fitting so well into the constraints of the cartridge. It's not perfect, but it's definitely great. This is an A-tier game. Laser Invasion. Ugh. Just, ugh. Oh, it's better than Top Gun, but only marginally so. This is a D. Life Force I like better than Gradius, but it's still not as good as I remember it being growing up. These Konami side-scrolling shmups just aged poorly. It's fine and it works well, but it doesn't go any higher than a B for me. Lone Ranger. Hello, Kimosabi. Not even Lone Ranger's mother would look at this game and think it's terrible, because it's absolutely wonderful. Top-down role-playing exploration where you need to talk your way through things rather than just going in guns blazing is excellent, as is the side-scrolling platforming action. This is a wonderful game. I could play it for hours, and maybe it's because I love the Lone Ranger, but whatever. S tier, 100%, definitely an S. Monster in My Pocket was one of my favorite toy lines as a kid, and this game makes me realize how far we were from having a great muscle game on the NES. Monster in My Pocket is absolutely brilliant. You play as either the vampire or the monster, and you go through supersized levels that show how tiny your character is. One of my favorite little touches is that all the enemies in the game are based on the toys from the toy line. It's a fantastic love letter to a wonderful lost and forgotten toy line. It's a nostalgia bomb, and it 100% gets an S from me. Russian Attack is just one of those classic NES games that passed me by growing up. I never really spent a whole lot of time with it outside of the arcade version. It's fine, it plays well, and it's definitely an 80s game. Like, this is very much a kid-friendly Rambo. But it doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for me. Looks good, plays alright, just isn't great. Gets a C. This isn't Stinger, this is Twin B. You can't fool me. Stinger's good. You swap the horizontal and vertical levels in this shmup, and it plays pretty well. It's cute, but it's nothing visually to write home about. It's definitely fun, though. It's an enjoyable experience, made better by the weird power-ups and the bell color bonus scoring mechanic. I'd give this one a B. Super C improves on everything Contra did in every way. But still, it's not as much fun as I remember. The underlying DNA of the series just doesn't work for me for some reason. I don't know, it's just as an adult, it's not clicking. It's good, and I really like the change from the behind-the-back levels in Part 1 to the wandering the map levels that are similar to Blaster Master solo runs in this one. It's a solid A, just for how influential it is. I just can't go all the way to an S on it. Now this one shocked the hell out of me. I did not expect for Tiny Toon Adventures to be as good as it is. You play as Buster, and you're going through the Acme University up against Montana Max to rescue Babs. Game looks great, sounds great, and plays great. And there's helper characters in Dizzy Devil, Furball, and Plucky Duck. This is better than it has any right to be. And it's a really, really good platforming adventure. Tiny Toon Adventures gets an S. Now, Tiny Toon Adventures 2 surprised me as well, but not in as good a way. My expectations after playing the first one were sky high, and Tiny Toon Adventures 2 just falls flat. It plays well enough and it looks alright, but it doesn't have the same charm as the first one. This feels like a weird knockoff of Adventures in the Magic Kingdom with the different rides you have to go on. It just doesn't do them with as much panache. It's a B, but it's close to being a C. I would give this one a B-. Tiny Toon Adventures Cartoon Workshop is kind of a prototype Mario Paint here. I never tried this one as a kid, and I kind of wish I had. It's a neat idea. You can basically make, for lack of a better term, animated greeting cards. You can choose from various characters, use preloaded animations and phrases, and make your own little short. It's neat. It's not perfect, and Mario Paint does everything about 1,000,000 times better, but this is a really overlooked title that I think a lot of people that have interests in animation and game design should have experienced as a kid. I give it a B, as weird an experience as this is. Oh man, I love the Ninja Turtles. I've got a project in the works for November with them that I can't wait to get to. And I want so very badly to love Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. And I just don't. The look is just all wrong. The Turtles kind of look like the dollar store version of them. Everything's just a bit off. Combat's a bit weird. Music doesn't hit like TMNT 2 did. It's just a weird series of attention to details being missed. The cover of the game is from Mirage Studios' run of the comic, where each turtle wore red. That carries over into the game. The portraits in the bottom footer have each turtle with a red mask. But the characters you play in the game, each one has their animated series color. It's just a series of minor misses that just keep knocking it down. This only gets to a C for me. The NES version of TMNT Tournament Fighters is just... well, it's ambitious, but it's not what I'd call fun or good. There's definitely a good heart here, but oh man, this game's just a bear to play. The game doesn't translate well to a 2-button layout. It looks good for what it is, but play-wise it's just not there. I give it a D, just because it's not that much fun. Oh man, I hate Top Gun. F. Top Gun 2 is moderately better than the first game. I still hate it. D. I would love to tell you that a game that's a collection of track events and track and field isn't fun, that it doesn't work, and it plays poorly. But Track and Field is a classic for a reason. The gameplay is nothing groundbreaking, it's just button mashing. But good God does it work. I love every event in this game. I'm not good at it at all, but it's never not fun to play. Track and Field gets a B. Now Track and Field 2 improves in every way over the first game somehow, and it offers even more events. And most importantly, more interesting events. I love canoeing, and the ability to choose your country really adds some realism to the game. It feels like an Olympic event. It's a damn fine game. I really enjoy it. Track and Field 2 gets an A. Another computer game for my C64 that I played into the ground. I love Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. One of my favorite games growing up, really helped develop my love of history. The NES version was, much like King's Quest V, something I avoided because I played it on the computer. Why would I want to play it on a console? But holy cow, does this game do everything right. Travel through time, search for clues, and find the suspects from Vile to apprehend them. It just works, even with the inherent clunkiness of the design. I'm going to say this gets a solid B. Finally, we have Zen Intergalactic Ninja. This is a game based on a comic, so I feel like I should love it. And I gotta be honest, for a property that's not terribly well known, Konami really went all out on this game. It looks good, it plays well, it sounds great, and there's a ton of variety between level design. You mix both side-scrolling and isometric action. It's really good. I gotta give it a solid B. Alright guys, there you have it. Tier rankings for Konami NES titles. A few surprises here for me, honestly. I remember loving Turtles Tournament Fighters as a kid, and today it's just like, whoa, wow, is that a mess. But there's a lot of great titles here from Konami. I still hate Top Gun, and I will always hate Top Gun. But nice to see Top Gun 2 moving up the rankings to a solid D. You're not a failure, Top Gun. We're just very disappointed in you. We'll be back later this week with some more stuff, guys. I've got Dueling Destros coming up for my action figure fans, and we'll be doing more tier rankings in the future. Let me know in the comments down below what companies you would like to see us rank moving forward. As always, guys, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up. Lets me know how much you appreciate what we're doing, and I will in turn tell you how much I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the video and you've watched this far and you have not yet done so, consider subscribing and ring the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with everything we've got going on. 2 videos a week at least, as long as there's not a random vacation coming up, because that does happen from time to time. Until next time, guys, I have been Jay. I appreciate you being here, as I said. Play more games, stay square, take care. We'll see you soon.